Hey my lovely friends! Welcome to your YouTube channel. If you've never used geometry nodes before, or if it seems a bit complicated, don't worry at all. This video is just for you. Today, we're going to build a simple and beautiful flower in Blender 4.4.1 using only geometry nodes. No plugins, no extra stuff, just pure Blender. We'll go step by step, nice and easy. So even if it's your very first time opening Blender, you'll be able to follow along and learn with no stress. If you enjoy this kind of beginner-friendly tutorial, please tap that like button and don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss future videos. And hey, if this video helps you, share it with a few friends too. All right, ready to make a cute little flower together? Let's go. First, open Blender and adjust your windows as needed for a more comfortable workspace. As shown in the video, we'll use the larger left panel for the geometry node editor. Hold down Shift and press F3 to switch the panel to geometry node. Now let's dive into the node world. Press 8. To start, we delete the default group input node since we'll build our own structure from scratch. Okay. Next, add a mesh line node. This node creates a line of evenly spaced points, which will form the base structure of our flower. Okay. Then add a set position node. This allows us to change the position of each point in the geometry. Add vector rotate node. This node lets us rotate vectors in 3D space. Also, bring in the position node. This gives us access to the current position of each point. Now, in the vector rotate node, change the rotation axis from Z to Y, so the rotation will happen around the Y axis. Connect the output of the position node to the angle input of the vector rotate. You'll see the result in the viewport. A nice oscillating pattern begins to appear. However, right now, we can only see the effect. We don't have any control over the intensity or speed. To gain control, we need to add a few more nodes. Add a math node. This node allows us to perform mathematical operations on values and change the operation from add to multiply. Duplicate the math node. As shown in the video, place both math nodes between the position and vector rotate nodes. Now, try previewing the result to see how it behaves. To animate the flower and gain more control, let's take it a step further. Add 2 more math nodes. Now change the second math node to sine. Then add a scene time node. This provides the current time of the scene in seconds. This will create a sinusoidal wave. Connect the output of the multiply node to the input of the sine node. Then connect the sine output to another multiply node. Here's what we've got. The first multiply node, connected to scene time, controls the speed of the wave. The last multiply node, which connects to the angle of the vector rotate, controls the amplitude of the wave. And just like that, we've created a dynamic, animated flower shape. To manage the nodes more efficiently, we create frames. First, select the nodes you want to group, then add a frame and place them inside it. Alternatively, you can select the nodes, hold down Ctrl, and press J. This will automatically place the selected nodes inside a frame. We can change the color of the frame and give it a clear name for better organization. Now, let's create the flower stem. First, we add a cylinder. Then, we add an instance on point node and connect the mesh output from the cylinder node to the instance on points input of the instance node. Next, we adjust the cylinder as needed, as you can see in the video. The cylinders instanced on the mesh line are not connected properly. To fix this, we add a Realize Instances node after the instance node to ensure they display correctly. We also add a Set Material node for the stem and group all these nodes inside a frame. Now it's time for the petals. We add a mesh circle node above the previous nodes and join it with the stem group. Then we create a transform node and set the translation Z value to 9.5 to move the mesh circle to the top of the stem. We specify the number of points on the mesh circle, which will be the positions for the petals. For now, we group these nodes inside a frame. Before moving on, there's one more important step. We create two icospheres for the flower's receptacle, so the petals will be placed on them. Then, we create a transform node. I place both icospheres in their proper positions and adjust their sizes as shown in the video. So they take the shape of the flower's receptacle. Finally, I select the nodes and organize them inside a frame. To keep things organized, I assign a unique color to each frame. I also add a Set Material node for the receptacles so they can have their own material. Next, we move on to creating the petals. We use a pre-made petal model. And to bring it in, I drag the related node from the outliner into the geometry node editor and drop it inside a frame, since we're going to instance it on the mesh circle. Then I add an instance on points node and connect the geometry output from the object info node to its instance input. Now we notice that the petals aren't instanced correctly on the mesh circle. But don't worry, fixing this doesn't require much. To correct the rotation, we take the position output and connect it to the rotation input of the instance on points node. Then, we add the following nodes in order. Separate x, y, z to split the vector components, math, arctangent 2, to calculate the correct angle, Combine X, Y, Z to reconstruct the rotation vector. Following the video, we connect them properly. Now we can see the petals are oriented correctly in the viewport. To complete this step, we add Realize Instances. To make the instance geometry real, set Material. To assign a specific material to the petals, Mesh Extrude. To give thickness to the petals. Finally, we adjust the necessary settings to complete this part of the project. At this stage, we duplicate the current group of petals and place the new copy slightly higher. This will serve as the first layer of petals in our flower. I merge the new frame with the previous one to keep the layered modeling process seamless and connected. Using the transform node, we adjust the position upward or downward to place them correctly. In the previous frame, some necessary adjustments need to be made at this stage. I replace petal 1 with the current one and, if necessary, tweak the settings to get the desired shape. Now, I make another copy of the petal group, move it further up, and adjust its position and shape just like before. I repeat this process a few more times until the full flower form is built. I properly rename my node groups to keep things organized. This makes it much easier to find and manage them later on. In total, we now have 5 layers of petals, along with the receptacle and the stem, a total of 8 objects. Each of these objects needs its own material. So, we create individual materials and assign each to its corresponding object. Oh, there's one more step we need to take, adding a few leaves along the stem. To do this, we use leaf number 2, which is already modelled and available in the outliner. We drag the leaf object from the outliner into the node editor and connect it to the stem structure. Using a transform node, we position the leaf in the right place along the stem. However, we notice that part of the leaf is intersecting with the stem. To fix this, we select the leaf in the viewport, switch to Edit mode, select all the vertices and slightly move them along the X-axis to pull the leaf out of the stem and give it a more natural look. Finally, we add an Extrude Mesh node to give the leaf some thickness and make it appear more three-dimensional. To make the flower look more complete and natural, we add several more leaves along the stem. We do this by duplicating the Object Info node and reusing the same leaf model multiple times in different positions. Using the Transform node, we adjust the placement and scale of each leaf to fit properly along the stem, creating more variety and a more realistic overall shape for the flower. Next, I add a Set Material node to make sure the leaves also enjoy a nice touch of color and don't miss out on the visual charm. At this point, I assign the materials one by one from top to bottom using the Set Material node. To better preview the materials we've created and the ones we'll create later, we adjust the render settings as shown in the video. This allows us to see a clearer and more accurate representation of the materials, both in the viewport and the final render, making it easier to fine-tune their appearance. I organize the nodes that don't have a frame and are scattered across the node editor by grouping them neatly inside a single frame. To keep the video concise, I haven't given custom names to the materials in this part. However, it's important to note that proper material naming is one of the key practices in project organization. Especially in more complex setups, having clear names makes it much easier to manage and access materials at any stage of the project. To better organize the nodes, we can place them into separate groups. To do this, first select the nodes that play a key or important role in the structure or behavior of the animation, such as calculation, positioning, or time control nodes. Then, hold down the Control key and press G. It is recommended to rename this node group according to its function to make project management easier. Finally, there's a small issue with the animation that needs to be fixed. To resolve this, we use the separate XYZ and combine XYZ nodes to correctly adjust the coordinates and eliminate the issue. Thank you so much for watching this video till the very end. If you found this content helpful, please make sure to like it and share it with your friends. Your comments mean a lot to us and we look forward to reading them. Stay successful and see you in the next video.